international healer. So I work with energy
Wow.
in all the dimensions. And when I heal someone, I take them on a journey through the dimensions.
Hi, and welcome back to Soul Awakenings. I am Jeff Galkett, your host, and today I have with me Bhavna. How are you, Bhavna?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on here today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, actually. It's Friday, which is always a good thing. And you actually are in the evening, heading towards the evening, because you are where are you exactly?
I am
London
in
or
London right now in the UK, so it's about 4:45 here.
right?
So it's already
Excellent.
evening in one way, yeah.
Right. I'm just hitting the afternoon over here in
Got
the
a few more
States.
hours to get through
Yes.
to your Friday evening.
Right. Okay, so let's just get started. I guess one of the questions I have is just to can you tell me a little bit about your background growing up as far as religion or religious beliefs?
Okay, so I was actually born in Ghana in West Africa, and I'm Indian by blood, so I'm born Hindu. But
Hmm.
because I was born in Ghana, and then at the age of 13, I moved to the UK for boarding school. So I've like been around a background of different religions. So in Ghana, it's predominantly Christian and Muslim. And so as Indians, I don't know if we fully we don't overtake. Like we just do our own thing at home and then the country does its own parts of stuff. And then when I moved to the UK to study, I didn't find that many people were actually religious.
Mhm.
I found it was more like just we're all 13, 14-year-olds just trying to have fun. So that didn't come in so much. Although I did have a little brash with Christianity when I was young, but I've let that go now. I've like just put it aside. I had
Mhm.
someone who basically told me that I was going to go to hell if I didn't believe in Jesus Christ. And despite trying to say like, it's all equal and it's all respectful and just please respect mine, I'll respect yours, it never happened. So
Mhm.
I think that made me kind of disbelieve in everything.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had other discussions with other people. It's one of the funny things we were just talking about was they come up and they tell you God loves you. Oh, and by the way, you're going to hell. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so were you really religious like with your family, or were you sort of just like it was sporadic?
Yeah, I
Um
want to say it was sporadic. So I think in Hinduism, I think the problem is that the religion and the culture is like such a big merge that we do
mhm.
little things culturally that we then say it's our religion. So there are aspects. So, like for me, the main defining thing of my religion when I was young is, oh, on Monday I have to be vegetarian and on Thursday I have to be vegetarian. That was my defining like moments in religion. Like this is what my religion expects of me. I'm not allowed to have beef and I have to just eat different things on different days. And that was it. Yes, my
Mhm.
parents sent us to this thing called Bal Vihar, which is like um, religious education for Indian kids, where you learn some of the scriptures and things like that. But it's on a very like basic level because we're obviously children still at that point. So that was pretty much it. There was nothing
Okay.
intense, nothing forced on me. There was nothing like that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you go from, that sort of background to having, getting into spirituality or having an awakening experience? Was there like a catalyst?
100%. I actually was ill for a few years. I got depression, anxiety, and fibromyalgia after I got married. And that threw me into like, why of life? Like, why am I ill? Why is this happening? Why do these things happen in general? And I think I've always flirted with the idea of meditation. Like I would meditate and then I would stop and then I would meditate and then I would stop. And it was never like consistent. And
Hmm.
then I just told myself one day, you know what, just meditate. 30 days, just do it. Just meditate every single day and just see what happens afterwards. And that was really it. I meditated for 30 days. I think I did 28 and I saw
Hmm.
my first spirit.
Oh,
And
wow.
that is how I awakened, essentially, like to pinpoint, okay, this was the trigger to go and seek. I would say it was that.
Wow. Okay, so what made you start the meditating? I mean, why after, at this point, this is when you were back in the UK, right? You were well, you moved to the UK.
I like 2 years ago, I was living like kind of halfway here and halfway in Ghana. I spent a lot of time there. So the
Okay.
meditation actually happened while I was in Ghana for that
Oh,
time.
okay. So what inspired you to get back into the meditation or just start meditating?
I think I just got annoyed at myself for not doing it consistently. And I want to say, I think my soul nudged me. I can't really
Hmm.
point a real reason why I thought that's it, 30 days from today. I don't know where that really came from, but it
Interesting.
just,
So yeah, so like you never read it in a book or you were reading
no,
something and it talked
no.
about meditation. It just sort of came upon you one day. I really need to start meditating.
Yeah. I think it's great.
It is great. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. I'm not saying that you have to. It's just I find that pretty fascinating actually. That just happened. Okay, so you start meditating. How long were you meditating for?
So about 40 to 45 minutes, but there's a but in this because
Okay.
I wasn't just meditating, I was chanting a specific mantra. So
Mm,
it's a Shiva mantra and it goes Om Triambakam. It's quite a famous mantra. And after all of this happened, a while later, I looked up
hmm.
this mantra, and this mantra actually means like coming to terms with like your immortality or God basically blessing you. It's to do with death. So
Mm,
it's like I chanted this mantra for 30 days and then something to do with with death kind of opened up. So I don't think
interesting.
it was just meditation. I think it was
The
meditating
month.
with this mantra. Yeah.
So could you repeat the mantra again? I didn't quite catch it.
It starts off with Om Triambakam and then it goes Yajamahe Sukandam Pusti Vardhanam or Varakameva Bandhana Mrityu Mushkya Mamrita. It's the Maha Mrityu mantra.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so you didn't even know what it meant when you started to
I didn't
actually say the
know.
mantra.
Yeah, I didn't know the exact translation. I just learned it when I was in Bal Bihar class and it stuck with me. It
Hmm.
stuck with me throughout my life. I've been saying this mantra throughout my life, just not as consistent. And
Okay.
then I gave it my all in those 30 days. And yeah, it gave back, I guess.
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So it was on what day 28 that
Yeah.
you noticed.
So
You have to explain it.
we were in the car. I was in the car with my partner and we were driving. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, I can see, like, I can just see this woman who had passed away. And I was like, she's wearing white. She looks, a little bit different than she was when she passed away. Why am I seeing her? Why am I like, I was very confused because it's not someone I would think of. It's not anyone that would just drop into my brain for any reason. So I was
So
quite
this
surprised.
this happened in a car?
Yes.
Wow. So were you driving the car?
I wasn't driving. My partner was
Okay.
driving.
Okay,
I
so
was just
he's
there.
driving. And then where
Yeah.
did she appear? Like out on the street, inside the car?
No, it's like in front of me in my
Oh,
head.
okay. Okay. No,
So
that
it's
that
like a vision drops.
interesting. Wow. And so did you know the person?
Yes, so I know the person. It is my friend's mother. I wasn't close to her. I didn't know her very well.
Okay.
So after that, obviously I told my partner and we had to attend something. So he just said, you know what, just leave it. Maybe tomorrow you'll know why you saw this. I was like,
Hmm.
okay. Woke up the next day and I was like, I know why I saw her. And so he was like, why? And I was like, I need to tell her daughter that she's leaving. After she gives birth, she's going to go. And she was like, and he was like, okay. And then it took me 3 weeks of circling around my brain before I actually messaged the daughter who happened to be giving birth that day,
Oh
received the
my.
message, and then actually felt her mother leave as well. So
Oh my.
yeah.
Wow. So, um, could you describe the vision? Like, was she sort of wispy, or did she look like solid, like a real person? Was there like, could you see through her? I'm just out of curiosity's sake. I'm
Yeah.
just.
I believe that does look different for a lot of people. For me, it
Mm-hmm.
was like a really clear picture that I have never seen before.
Hmm.
So it was almost, it looked like somebody had put a photograph in front of me.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
really amazing.
That's how I saw the first one.
Okay. So you see that, you finally tell your friend acknowledges it
Yes.
sort of as a confirmation, like, yes, I felt that too.
Yeah.
So what did you think after that? Like what?
Obviously, I was just like, what is going on? I feel a bit crazy. Like, did I really see that? Did I not? What does this mean? And
Yeah.
I told my psychiatrist, actually, believe it or not, because I was like, what is this?
Hi, I'm going crazy.
Yeah. I had a couple more visions after that, and I think that also kind of, you know, I thought this was a thing. So, I got a couple more, I told a couple more people. It wasn't taken the same way as the first person. So that
Hmm.
also made me uncomfortable. And when I told my psychiatrist, he was just like, you need to go on a spiritual retreat, basically. And he said, I can push you, I can give you a contact for someone that does it. That was basically it. He
Okay.
said, I'm aware that these things exist, and I know some people need help in this department. So I can send you to someone, but I personally cannot help you with this because
Right.
it's fair enough.
Well, first off, kudos to your psychiatrist, because I mean, over here in the States, I think if I would have said that to your traditional he would have basically like probably had me admitted or put me on medication. So kudos to
I was
him
already on
for.
medication, so I'm not sure how much this put me on.
Wow. Okay. So did you heed his advice? Did you actually take a
Yes.
retreat? You
Yes,
did.
I did go for the retreat, but unfortunately, apart from one psychic on the retreat, it wasn't very giving, as he
Hmm.
had stated. But the psychic was able to just kind of help me because of her experiences. Like, she spoke to me about how she would see them and how she would connect with them. And that's when I realized everybody's connection is different. Some people will
Yes.
see it a lot strongly. She used to describe moments where like there would just be loads of them. She used to work in a hospital as a nurse, and she was just like they were just all around her and like constantly like asking for help or just kind of being overbearing. So that's not how it
Wow.
happens for me. Um, Mine is a little bit more like, you stay there and I'll stay here. I've had my scary experiences, don't get me wrong, but I
Uh-huh.
make sure that I keep it at arm's length because I don't like that. I don't like
Yes.
someone saying, I wake up and there's a queue of spirits, like, needing my help. I don't want that. I'm too scared to have that. I think that would be very difficult to focus on our earthly lives if we're busy, on the other side.
Yes, I've actually heard that from, different psychics and mediums and stuff where, they basically were gifted it at birth or very young, and they were basically just mobbed by,
Yeah,
people from the other side, and they sort of had to learn the same thing that you were just talking about, like you have to sort of turn it off and on, you have to give
yeah.
them, like direction, like I can't do this 24 hours a day, you know.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Wow. So, I mean, did your life just sort of tilt on its axis after this?
You would think so, but no, it didn't. I had to force,
Really?
yeah, it didn't. I think people were just like, okay, like good for you. Like, there wasn't, I lived in a community where this was nothing, even though it it was like, oh wow, you can see, beyond here, but there was no value to it. So I wanted my own answers. It wasn't even like, oh, my life got tilted, therefore I looked for answers. I was like, what is this? What is happening? I need to know more. So it came
Hmm.
really from me. I think if I went along with family and community and like the community, I think they would have just, it's like just another passing hobby that someone has. You can just see stuff and that's it. Like that's how it's taken. There's no value given it to it at all.
Interesting. That it's kind of mind blowing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I I don't know if it's just the culture's difference or what, but I find that pretty fascinating that
I think
everybody's
there's
like,
negativity attached to this.
oh, the stigma of still like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
okay.
think that is why it's not really like, I know maybe if this happened in like a Western world, they'll be like, oh wow, like why don't you explore? Maybe it would have been a more positive outtake.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was just like because in India, the people that do black magic and go into the
Yes,
darker side of spirituality, they tend to connect more with the dead and
the
things like
dead.
that. So I think people's mind goes straight there.
Okay.
And so I don't think I even shared so much at the start either with so many people because I was just afraid of the judgment. And I think even speaking
Mm-hmm.
to you today and you're just like, wow. And I'm just like, oh, okay, is it really a wow? Because I never had that. I never got that from anyone. No one was just like, wow, this is an amazing gift. You should go explore. It was just like,
Yes.
oh, okay, now we have to deal with this. Like that was more the attitude for me.
Okay. Well, Bhavna, this is an amazing gift, and you should go and explore this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Because
I
I'm kind of just blown away, and that's what I think is uh so ironic to me. Is just you're just talking about like you went down the street and grabbed a cup of coffee. It's just
Yeah.
I can't believe even personally I'm just surprised that uh you handled it all so well, I guess.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, so wow. So did you do did you do anything else once this started? Like,
Loads.
okay, so
So,
what?
so
Go
after
ahead.
that was the retreat. And
Okay.
then I realized, okay, there's a big merge between real spirituality and what I want to say self-development,
Hmm.
which is great, but it is not spirituality. So the retreat was kind of heavily on that. So I was just like, I'm not sure where to go to next. But then randomly, I found an angel channeler. And then I
Mm.
found a reader. And through them, I was able to access information like about karma and, just little bits and pieces that I eventually kind of pieced together. So having people who are like really already, like they live their life by this, every single day
Yes.
is lived in spirituality. Then you're able to like kind of wake up and say, oh, okay, like there are people like this out there. So that means I can impart some of this into my life, or I can go into this if I want to, because this is not, unheard of. It's normal. So
Yes.
it was through that. It was through other people, through kind of meeting these two great like readers and just being able to ask them questions and ask about the spiritual realm and, how the angels work and all these kind of things. And meditation on top of that. Like as you meditate when you're seeking knowledge, the knowledge grows. But
Mm.
the other thing I had to do was I had to come off medication. I was like, if
Mm.
this is something I want to do, I need to come off medication. And that's the other thing in spirituality that's actually quite helpful. I actually had to go and do Cambo. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I have not, but I would be interested in that because I actually have suffered a lot of depression and anxiety through my life.
Okay.
And I basically am still taking some meds for that. And I'm it's I've tried to wean off a couple times and I
It's
couldn't do
hard.
it. It was really,
It's
really
very
awful. Yeah.
so I can tell you a bit about Canva and you can see if that's something for you. Although I
Sure.
would say I've also done ketamine and I think ketamine's a good one too. But so Cambo is a frog poison. They basically create burn marks on your leg or on your hand, and then they apply the frog poison onto these points, and it basically makes you throw up for a couple of hours. And before they
Whoa.
administer the poison, you have to drink 4 liters of water. So that those 4 liters basically washes your body, and then you throw it all back up. So that's like an inside bath. And then once you throw all of that up, it's supposed to like cleanse you out. And you do
Hmm.
feel it. You do feel like, oh wow, everything's left me.
Yeah.
And so I met a shaman, and she gave me San Pedro and psilocybin first as microdoses for 4 days before the cambo. And on these 4 days, I dropped my antidepressant completely. Like, it went half, then quarter, then zero. And then I went to Glastonbury for the fifth day, and then I did the cambo, and then it just washed everything away. And I never looked back. I never took that antidepressant or any antidepressant ever again after that. So that really helped for that. I was
Hmm.
also on benzos. I was on all of it, diazepam, alprazolam, and clonazepam. Now that was through ketamine in the hospital. So ketamine kind of resets your pain factors, and it's a spiritual drug.
Hmm.
So the first time I did ketamine, when I came back, I thought I was going to die. Like I just told my husband, I was like, I'm going to die and you have to be okay with it. And this was the same time before I was going for that retreat. So the psychic said, you've just walked into the death plane, and you need to like tell everything to leave, and then you're going to feel okay. So that's when I had some of my negative experiences as well. But I would say ketamine and camber are really helpful if someone is interested in looking at alternatives in the spiritual field.
Yeah. Wow. That is fascinating. I mean, so um, it was almost sounds like you knew instinctively that you had to get off these
Yes.
antidepressants. Um, why is that? Like, what about it did you sort of get a message, or you just instinctively knew, like, I can't
I
have both
think
of these?
So I think when I saw the readers, they told me that I have gifts with energy.
Hmm.
And now, before all of this is going to sound silly, but because I didn't mention it earlier, but before any of this, before getting to spirituality, before meditation, all of that, I actually used to do this weird thing where I would, especially on airplanes, I was quite afraid of flying sometimes. I
Hmm.
would cover the entire flight with energy. I didn't know what I was doing. I never shared it with anyone. I would just do it. I would
Hmm.
keep my hand on, like, the side of the chair, and I would just imagine energy flowing all over. I would say, just keep me safe. So when the reader told me, by the way, you have gifts with energy, it didn't really surprise me. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Then to me, I was just like, okay, to access these gifts, I have to get off this medication. So that was my
Hmm.
instinct. No one told me, no one pushed me to get off it. It's just that
Okay.
in my head, I just felt like these medicines are making me drowsy, and they're making me a bit zombie like this cannot be helping. So
Hmm.
it was my own instinct, I guess. Yes, that pushed me to do that.
Great. Well, I think you're right. I mean, it's so funny that we're having this conversation because I have literally just within the last 2 or 3 days, and these are those amazing coincidences that happen with the universe when you're in tune, is I was just talking about this
Oh,
with,
really?
yeah, with my fiance. Actually, I was like, and it's been coming up about, just things just keep these little hints, like you have to get off this, you have to get off this. I met somebody, um uh, well, I've actually known her, but she actually was over here and we were talking, and she said, I can't figure out, I feel this energy with you, but I can't figure out, there's something that's blocking it. And then we started talking, and when she found out that I was on these antidepressants, she was like, that's it, that's what your problem is. And now we're having this discussion, which is crazy.
Well, you
But
never know. By the end of it, you might be like, I got a piece of a puzzle from here, a piece of the puzzle from here. I
yes,
created my solution, and you might be able to get off
yeah,
it.
I hope so. I mean, it's been magic because, like I said, I've done the weaning thing, and it just didn't work. Like, I felt like my brain was gonna literally explode. It was so horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of just not didn't do that anymore. So Um, okay, so you go through this cleansing ceremony. So that's it. Seems like wow, there's a lot going on in your life at this point. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like you're just starting this whole new chapter, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of
Um,
how it felt to you?
it was because I was balancing the illness with it, and because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in spirituality, we feel a lot of symptoms, like people be like, this is tingling, or this is here, and this is that.
Yeah.
I could never know the difference, basically. So because I have all these, I'm on so many medications and I was fibromyalgia and all these things, I never knew what the difference was. So I think maybe a lot of spiritual stuff was happening, but I was
Mm-hmm.
confused and I thought, okay, maybe this is just me being ill. If I have a headache or if I have this and that, maybe it's all to do with my illness. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't think I paid attention to that side of it. I don't think I sat there saying, oh, my life's changing. I think I just was just like, I want to just know more. I just need to know
Mm.
more. I need to understand. I think it all came from that aspect. Yes, seeing spirits completely changes your life because when you're young and you're afraid of ghosts, which I was
Mm-hmm.
because my uncle used to scare us like shitless. Sorry. He really did. It was so bad. I think that's one of the reasons I shut off. It was really
Ooh,
bad. Yeah.
wow.
So and so obviously I was a little bit afraid. So, I convinced myself that they didn't exist. So obviously opening back up to that, it goes back. You think, oh, okay, so when I was young, I believed this because, was I just afraid? What if, I had seen these things when I was young? It makes you think. So even though life is probably changing, there's so much thinking happening that for me, I didn't realize that. I didn't feel like my life was changing until I decided to change it myself.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. I mean, you were doing the right thing by living in the moment, right? And you weren't overthinking anything. It was just
So
happening. Yes. So, so did you experience any, so you start to be able to see these things, these images. Now, did you go through any type of physical changes? Like, did you notice anything physical happening in the body? I mean, obviously you had to purge the antidepressants out and everything, and I'm sure that had an impact as well. But on
yeah.
top of that, did you notice anything else physically happening to you?
No, I notice it now when I work
Oh,
with it. But I didn't notice it at that time because I was very confused. And there are a lot of opinions that I kept hearing. So if
mm-hmm,
you go to a doctor, the doctor can give you a reason as to why you feel something. So then you think, oh, it's medical, right? You
mm-hmm.
can go
Oh
to a
yeah,
reader will give you a reason why you feel something. You're like, oh, it's spiritual. So because
mm-hmm,
of the two plates that I had, I don't, there were changes going on in my body 100%, but I don't think I could pinpoint where they were coming from. But now today, I can say a lot of it would have been energy because when I work with energy today, I can feel it in my body. And you just feel like your entire body vibrating or just like the energy passing through whichever areas. So physically, there is a difference.
mm-hmm,
I'm just not sure how to kind of maybe explain it so clearly. I know people like go to drastic changes and they like lose weight or they put on
mm-hmm.
weight or their body changes, but I don't think that was so intense for me as it is for some other people.
Okay, so uh, what kind of, I guess you work with energies now? Is that basically what you
Yeah,
sort of like
I'm a
do?
multi-dimensional healer. So I work with energy
Wow.
in all the dimensions. And when I heal someone, I take them on a journey through the dimensions.
Amazing. Now, how did you get that from the spirits? Like how did you go from seeing, first seeing someone that had passed on to actually becoming a multi-dimensional healer? Like there it seems like a giant leap somehow. It's
Yeah.
like you went from learning math to working for NASA. How did that happen?
So once again, it was through the readers. The reader told me that you have the gift of traveling the dimensions and the realms.
Mm,
So obviously, the kind of person that I am, I want to be like, what is this again?
mm-hmm,
So in my meditation practices, every single day, I would explore. And then I would see something and I would go back and I would say, I've seen this and I feel like this is what it is. So I'll say, I think I'm in the sixth dimension and I seem to be able to work on bodies in the sixth dimension. And then when I go back and I ask two or three different people and I get the same answers, or I get that, yes, this is a place for psychic surgery over here, because it's closer to Earth, you can work on this, or
Mm.
different kind of answers. I put it all together and I created this entire protocol. No one taught
Wow.
me how to do this at all.
Wow.
And it's all innate. And the way I was explained was that this is already something I knew before. And
Mm.
I'm just getting the help to kind of remember it back. And
Oh,
that's how it was described to me.
wow, that is truly amazing. Well,
Mm.
okay, so I have a question. So when you said you're meditating and then you go and explore, like
Yeah.
take me through that. Like what does that what how do you explore when you're meditating?
So when you do silent meditation,
Hmm.
you get to a certain stage where, I guess the theta stage, where you're not really here, but you're here, but you're not kind of here. You see
Hmm.
things. So it's almost like I'll see a flicker of a vision. And then if I go back to the same vision the next time, it will get bigger. And then I go
Mm.
back the third time, it gets, or sometimes it'll be the same for even a week. And then I'll get
Could
to
you
the
give me
second
a could you give me an example of like a vision? Like what do you see? Like people, things,
thing.
places?
So like when I was practicing my healing, for example, like I would only go to
Hmm.
one place. Then as I was doing the healing, so let's say my eyes are closed and I'm going to go to the right. I go to the right, but all of a sudden I see like another path just open up. So I explore it. I'll go on that path. So it's imagination, but it's imagination that you're not imagining and you don't know what it is. You're just seeing something you've never seen before. You just
Uh-huh.
keep going with it. So it got to the point where I could distinct, okay, I'm in the fourth, now I'm in the fifth, now I'm in the sixth. I could distinct that as well by what I was seeing.
Okay, so they have like almost different vibrations, different colors,
They
or
do
like,
different things. So
oh,
I'll give you an example. In the sixth dimension, I do psychic surgery. I work with the body. In the
okay.
seventh is about conversations. And I feel the seventh dimension is also linked to your throat chakra.
Mm,
And then the eighth is for chakras, where I work with your chakras and I work with love and manifestation. And I don't really know, it was all like you said, it was instinctive. Like I put these pieces together myself. I can't give you a full explanation because I guess in some ways, maybe I don't know everything that I'm doing also.
I'm
I
sure.
just
Yeah.
know that it's
It's
the
all
right
instinct
truth.
almost.
Yeah. Like I just know
Wow.
some people will say, oh, there's no way you're going to the 12th dimension or this, that. Fine. They can think that, but I
Right.
know that I go there and I know that I go to source. So that's how I see it. And for people that can actually feel the healing, they can feel themselves either going like this and then coming like this, or they'll feel it in their body. They'll feel energy in their feet going all the way up to their head. That's when I get to source, the head, and then
Uh-huh.
they'll feel it coming back down. So you put all these things together and it does make a lot of sense. I know it's not to everyone, but at
Hmm.
least it does.
No, I find that absolutely incredible. I mean, the further along the journey that I get, the more and more that I realize that every single one of us is so unique and so different. I mean, we're all from one source and we are all sort of fractals of that source, but it's just amazing the diversity that every single one of us has, and the gifts that each one of us are given, and some can be so different from others. And I'm just kind of fascinated by how it all works. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like it's like walking into whatever, like a hospital, and you have one person that does the anesthesia, one person is a
Yeah.
nurse, one person is a surgeon, but they're all there and they're all functional together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just find that amazing. So is there I mean, how many dimensions can you access?
So I believe that there are actually 14 and I work in 12. That's what I believe.
Wow.
Some people say there are 12, some people say there are 13, but I see 14 and I see it like equally. So the first and the 14th are like dead zones. Then you have the second dimension and the 13th dimension, which to me are both energies of gods. And then
Mm,
the third, and then the 12th. The third is the earth, and the 12th is the cosmic universe. So I see a mirror in it as well. And that is what I believe. I know that people see it differently, and I'll tell you why. When we
okay.
see energy, energy can appear to us in different ways. So we see a vision of energy. Maybe I'll see the same piece of energy as you, but to you, it might look like a red flower. To me, it
Hmm.
might look like a pink umbrella.
Hmm.
But a red flower might mean peace to you, and a pink umbrella might mean peace to me. The energy is trying to give us a message of peace. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
total sense. Yeah,
So
I
that is how people see energy. So what I believe is that some people see realms within dimensions, and that's where it gets confusing. So I see the different dimensions, but some people can see so many things within one dimension that they'll say, oh, there's 144,000 dimensions. But once again, do we really know?
no.
Is my question. I always say this, like, we'll find out when we die. Like, there's so much more to find out, and it's great. I'm so excited for that. But so yeah,
Yes.
I think we have to do what we know in our heart that is right. And as long
Hmm.
as it's helping, as long as it's positive, then we know it's the right thing. If you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? Or I think I'm doing something wrong, then I think that's your heart telling you maybe, that's not the right place to be going, or we should like just be careful or go and get some extra information. So once we follow our gut, I think we tend to get to the right places.
I agree with you 100%. I think more and more and more again, I'm also realizing, yeah, your gut, your intuition, the knowing that you just seem to have sometimes, those are, I think those can be guides, you know, and they definitely are way more knowledgeable than we are. It's almost like information that we can kind of tap into. I think
And
it's
our soul, right? We can
mhm.
tune into inside ourselves because our soul is sitting there and our soul
Yes.
knows so much more than us. So if we
Mm,
quieten the human side of us, it'll just peek out and just give you little bits of information when it can in different ways. That's why
yes.
people see signs and people have coincidences that lead them to change their life because of
Hmm.
soul, I would say. The soul kind of peeks out.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's amazing. So let me ask you, did this impact your job or anything? Or
Yes.
what you do for a living?
I wasn't doing anything. I was quite sick.
Oh.
I was working with my dad in and out, but I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
really like stay there. So
Mm-hmm.
it impacted my job in the sense I was like, this is what I am supposed to do. And this is what fits in, with the fact that I do have fibromyalgia and maybe the fact that I can't do what everybody else does. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of it saying, okay, I had to leave something and go for something else, it was like, you don't know, you're in a position where you don't even know what to do. And I'm telling you, this is what you're supposed to do. So that's how I took it and that's how I saw it. Yes, I moved countries and I started a new life, and that was
Mm-hmm.
all a bit crazy. So it does impact your life, but I don't think that's necessary. I think that was necessary for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was living a bit of a dead life. But I
Mm-hmm.
really don't think everyone needs to uproot themselves for spirituality. I would say people should take it into their lives and let it be part and parcel of their lives rather than uprooting your life. Until you need that to happen, you shouldn't just force it to happen.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think it does happen a lot.
Yes.
When people sort of shift their perception and then they realize, like, it's funny because the more people I talk to, it's really interesting to me how many people either start to use their talents like yourself, or just shift to a job where they know they're going to have an impact to help people. Like they get
Yeah.
into social work and things like that, or out in nature more, where
Yeah.
they're outside all the time and they can connect that way. So it's really really amazing.
Yeah.
um
Did
and
it do that to
beautiful.
you?
What's that?
Did it do that to you? Did you shake?
It
Did you get
it did. Like well, I lost my job, so I did not have to work at that part,
okay?
but I did shift everything. Like I actually um just I really enjoy doing this actually. So, but one of the things I also like to do when I was younger was work in like audio visual stuff. I went to college for English, and I would do all this AV stuff as my electives and on the side. Why I didn't get into that then, I don't know. But I sat down and I thought, well, boy, what would I love to do if I could just do anything I wanted to? So I'm actually back in school now.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought, you know what? The heck with it. I know I'm old, but who cares? So
Oh wow.
uh yeah. So it's helped me with this too. I love talking to people. I want to help people. That's the point of doing this.
Yeah,
I want
100%.
yeah, I want to share with people like look at what all these amazing people are doing. Like you can do it too. You don't have to be
Yeah.
special, you
No, I
know.
agree. I actually think, I always see life as like this huge puzzle, and I'm just like, you never
Mm-hmm.
know who you meet and who's going to have another piece of your puzzle. So that's how I see it. Because we're all the same. Like, we're
Yes.
all part, like you said, we're all just part of the one big thing. So that's how I see it. So I think this is beautiful. Thank you.
I love that. Okay. Um, so outside of your job, you're you're married.
Yeah.
So did that impact that relationship at all? Because another thing I that I hear is, people either sort of adapt or they're just like, who are you? And they end up, sort of splitting
Yeah.
up or whatever.
I got lucky. My partner at the beginning was just like, what is meditation? Not interested, boring. Like that was his general
Mm-hmm.
attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we first took this journey, it was very much like, this is your journey, and I'm just in the background to support you.
Sure.
And then I was just like, oh, I think you need to see a reader, or I think you need to get a bit of information. I need you to, I just said, like, just try.
Sure.
I think he took that first step and he fell in love with it as well. I think
Wow.
even more than me, he was just like, this is great. Like, I love all of this. And he's very good at learning. He loves learning new things.
Mhm.
So I actually got lucky where we've gotten to a point where now we're both in this together. He did leave his job and he's joined me in this. So we're both partners in this as well. But
Uh,
it impacts you in the sense you start to question, now we have conversations as to like, why are we together and what is the purpose?
mhm.
If we're both into this, is there a bigger purpose and is there more magic into this? Or it means one has to be more of a leader or not. So for me, it's that it impacted both of us. We both took the step together. And now we're
Mhm.
also trying to understand what we can do together as well. Why is it that it worked out for us together? There has to be a reason because for so many, it doesn't.
Yes, that's really incredible. Like you said, that's very, it's amazing. Uh, and I love hearing the stories where, the other person sort of starts to understand and experience the things as well. It's really awesome. That's great and to ask those questions is really great too. Like because I the person I'm with, we're kind of doing that too. Like it's we both have these sort of unique talents, and how can we do this together? And yeah, so it's special.
It
So
makes it more fun.
it definitely makes it more fun.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. Um. So, what about your day-to-day life? Like, how has that changed? Like,
Um,
compared to like your day-to-day life. I guess unfortunately, I guess you were pretty, like you said, pretty ill.
yeah, I was pretty ill. I was at home a lot, bed rest a lot. Now I'm a lot more with it in life, a lot more active. Day to day looks like wake up, meditate. And then, whether sometimes I obviously have some of my healings, sometimes I just connect with other people. But, and then obviously there's the whole aspect. I feel like we could do an entire, podcast on social media and the impact of social media on spirituality. So
Mm,
dealing with social media is part and parcel of our day now, just because it has become together in one essence. Like you can't really escape social media if you want to, I want to say, put yourself out there. That's the right
yeah.
word.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I first, and I've said this before, is social media is basically, YouTube is what changed my life,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why I'm out here doing it. It's when I first got into spirituality. I'm 52 years old, so when I first got into spirituality in my 20s, and I discovered Buddhism, I had like the old books like Art of Zen and just those type of books, and that was pretty much it. Like that was
Yeah.
other than moving to India and finding a guru. I mean, those were like, but now there's so much amazing information out there and so many good teachers out there, that can really move people and change lives, and they can connect to so many more people than they ever could have
Yeah.
before social media and the internet. So I know there's a lot of there's a lot
Pros
of
and
like,
cons.
yeah, there you can watch Great Dane videos for 6 hours, and get sucked down that rabbit hole at times, but other times, when you really are looking for help or change or information, it's pretty awesome.
I agree. I think it's great because, like you said, back in the day, it was like, I'm going to have to leave life and trek all the way to India to be able to get any answers. Now it's like, why did this happen? Type, type, type. Answers there. So,
Yes.
it does make a big difference. But the last and final thing of what my day to day looks like is the
Mm-hmm.
learning. I
Mm.
feel like with spirituality, the knowledge never ever stops. So every time I feel like I've learned a good chunk of information, I
Mm-hmm.
realize how much I don't know. And then it's just like this cycle. So like currently I'm trying to read the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita.
The Bhagavad Gita, yes.
Yeah. So like so I think that has become part of my day to day. Like I want to try and learn something every day if I
Mm-hmm.
can, whether it's through a little YouTube video or something I pick up and read, just anything like that.
Yes, I am totally with you there as well. I One thing I've realized is there is no end to this journey. Like it, there's no, my earlier belief system was like, oh, you achieve awakening and then all's great,
Yeah,
and it's nothing like that at all. Like, number one, awakening wasn't anything what I thought it would be, but it just keeps going deeper and deeper. And I'm like you, and your husband. That's just I'm obsessed with learning. Like, I love, and there's so much knowledge out there now at our fingertips. It's incredible.
it's
So
great.
yeah, it is. It's amazing. So so you have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to put all your links underneath as long
Yeah.
as that's okay with you.
Yeah, of
But
course.
so what do you do exactly? Like, what are you putting out there? I mean, you're a multidimensional healer,
Yes.
so can you do that anywhere, like with anyone,
Yes.
regardless of. Oh,
Yes.
okay. I guess if you're out of the third
I can
dimension,
do
but
it. Yeah, I mean, I do it online. So
oh.
I don't need to be physically with the person. I just like to
Mm-hmm.
see a picture or connect with them first, and then I can do
Okay.
the work. My YouTube channel is called Is Spirituality a Trap? And
Whoa.
it is I basically, no, I'm not trying to be negative, but I want to put out the traps that are there
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's become too commercial. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
become a money game. And I think people forget that there are real humans that are looking for real answers in this field. And it's not about making the next buck or the next, piece of money. And not just that, it's also about truth. there are a lot of people who are not actually speaking the truth. They're just
Mm,
speaking a version of what they believe is the truth, or they're adopting labels that really don't mean anything, but they think it means something. So it was this that like pushed me into, you need to share, you need to get people to like think a little bit more and just open
yes.
their eyes a little bit more. So that's what my channel's about. It's not very new. I've only had about 5 or 6 episodes so far,
Hmm.
but it's about that. It's about me kind of giving spiritual information plus bringing out some of the traps that are already there in spirituality.
I love that. I love that because I will tell you, like, there have been times where I do hear about people in the past, few years that I've been on this journey, and you go to their homepage, and they do like, I'll give you a reading of a half-hour session for $1,200, and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, I realize you got to keep the lights on, but wow,
Yeah.
like, you are in this for the money, girl or guy or whatever. Like, there's nothing here that does not scream spirituality to me at all.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, like, we all have to charge for
100%.
certain
You have
things.
to
I
charge.
mean, yeah, because it's, if you're not independently wealthy, you have to, like I said, you have to keep the lights on, you have to pay the bills, you have to pay the rent and everything like that. But then there's an extreme, I think people take it to, where it's like, you can almost sense, I'm very good at sensing, like, are they doing this for money and gain, or are they doing this truly to help other people?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, this what you're doing, what I'm doing, it does take a lot of time. I am
Oh,
shocked
yeah.
at how much time this actually is taking me to do everything,
100%.
between, yeah, the interviews and the editing and then the posting and the tweaking and then the phone calls. It actually is like a heck, like, it's a lot more time consuming than I
Yeah.
thought it
Like
would
this
be.
could take up all your time. Just producing this show
Yes.
can take up this could be like it for the next, few months.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
really, yeah, it's really, so I get it. Like, I understand, like, people like that do that, but sometimes I think, like you said, it's so great to me that you're putting out there, like, watch out for, this type of thing or that type of thing, because when you're hurting and you're in pain, like, physically or emotionally, uh you just want somebody to help you. Sometimes it's like you just throw money at it, and you're going to be getting answers from the wrong type of people, you know.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so I'm so glad that you're doing that. That's a fantastic idea to me, to put that out there. So what sort of advice would you give, do you think, to other people if they, listen to this and they get curious? Like, what do you think would be a good start for them, or a good direction that you would say to them, to sort of like, oh, hey, if you have an interest in this, try X or read Y, you know?
I think anyone that's interested in spirituality, I think they
Hmm.
should. So what is the main point of spirituality is, to me, it's knowledge, it's equality, it's to actually get to a point being like everyone's the same, which, believe it or not many people are like that. There are a lot of, I don't want to use the word racist, but there are people who still like distinguish the differences.
Hmm.
And then the other thing is for healing. So these to me are the three main brackets that somebody should come into for spirituality. So my advice is, don't force anything. Awakenings are karmic. They're not done out of nowhere. They happen to you for a reason. Um, don't leave your life for spirituality. Take spirituality into your life first before deciding to leave. And number three, just keep learning. Just don't stop that. So this would be the three things. Don't force an awakening. Don't leave your life for spirituality, and keep learning.
I love it. I couldn't have said it better myself. What do you think the best thing is about your change? Like, what do you probably most happy about that this experience happened to you, as opposed to, um, the way you were before?
I think for me, I think I'm just more present in life. I think I almost became like a dead body. So I think
Mm.
I had given up so much. I was like, this is it now. I just have to spend the rest of my life in bed, just be in pain. So that's the main change. The other thing is that I'm really excited to die, as weird that's going to sound. I cannot wait for the next adventure. I cannot wait to finish this karmic cycle. I cannot wait to see what happens higher up. Like, I am so excited for it. So it takes away the fear of death, like fully. Like that just isn't there. It doesn't
Hmm.
exist. So I think
Yeah,
there's big changes for me.
that's amazing. You don't hear that every day. I mean, for me, actually, a lot of my journey through my whole life has been spurned by the fear of death. I mean, I remember being a very young kid and having almost an anxiety attack because I realized I wasn't going to be alive forever, and it scared the living hell out of me.
It's
So and that, yeah, and then right after that, you start to have questions like, why are we here? What's the purpose of this life? And I had all those pretty young, and I was determined to get an answer. So,
how old
um,
were you?
I think probably 5 or 6.
Oh, that is young to have to go through that stress at that age.
Yeah, I really had some panics, like, and I did not tell anyone, but
Oh,
it was just, yeah, it was scary. But then it kind of, in the, like, everything that I've done with my life, that those questions were always there in the background, and I really started with science,
okay.
and because I wanted like a concrete answer, because I wasn't happy with the, oh, God is there and no
Yeah.
worries, he'll take care of it. And it's just like, well, that's a belief. Like, what's reality, And so, yeah, and then science sort of, it was amazing how science and spirituality sort of connected for me, because when I started reading about quantum physics and quantum mechanics, I was like blown away. I'm like, why wasn't I taught this stuff in school? Like, particles don't exist, and then they
Yeah.
collapse there in a wave, and then they collapse when it's observed. It's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
So
It's like,
has it changed your perspective today? Are you no longer afraid?
no, I don't have, there was a point where I did want to die, but only because I was miserable. Now I'm just, because everything is so new to me now, and it's kind of all the magic came back
Yeah.
into my life, and the awe and the wonder and seeing the beauty of everything. And there, don't get me wrong, there is a big part of me. It's like, man, I have so many questions. I can't wait to ask when I'm out of here. But at the same time, it's just like, kind of just standing there and just watching, trees blow in the wind, and you can just feel that power, and then that amazing life force, and the connection with that, and it's pretty incredible, so I'm like back to like enjoying the ride again.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
you got back. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, because I went it off really bad for a while.
Do you think that's
um
normal? I think a lot of spiritual people go through that. I think I went through that, maybe because I was also ill, but
hmm
do you
well,
think we
yeah,
all
I
go
mean,
through that phase of we want to just go now, we want to just get out of here?
yeah, yeah. And it could be through illness, it could be through depression, it could be through
Yeah.
loss, all those things. So that being said, what is God to you?
God is the energy of creation and the energy of nature. That is what is God to me.
Great.
If I go deeper into it, I would say Shiva and Shakti as well. So
Oh,
Shakti as in Mother Earth, and
hmm.
Shiva, the main source of consciousness, which we call source. That's how I see it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So do you have any last words or messages for people that might be watching?
Um, I think I want to say again that an awakening isn't something that you just walk into. It always
Mhm.
happens for a reason. So if you think that you're just going to waltz into spirituality to have an awakening, it's not like that. So that is my only, even if it's out of curiosity that forces it, there's still a reason behind it. So I just would tell people once again, just take their time with it. There's no rush, there's no set method. Everybody's method, everybody's path is going to look different. Take your time with it and have fun with it. That's what I would say.
That's beautiful. And I agree there 100% as well. I mean, that's another reason I wanted to do this channel was just to show people like it's not like there's directions that you follow. Like,
Yeah.
you get a bat, like you get a product and there's the directions. Everybody's different. Every journey is takes a different path. You all get to the same place, but it's completely dependent on you and the individual, and not to get too wrapped up in one way or another. If it
Yeah,
doesn't feel right to you, do something different. Watch somebody else. You know,
exactly. 100%.
right.
Definitely.
Right. Okay. So, do you want to say your website one more time? And like I said, I will put it in the description below. And so you just have what do you have? You have a website and
So
do
I
you,
have a
you have a
web
YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have a website that is www.anayahverse.co.uk. I have a YouTube channel, Is Spirituality a Trap? And I have Instagram, which is AnayahVerse as well. And I'm sure Jeffrey will be sharing it in the links below. So I'll pass them on to you. That's okay.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time and hanging in there, um, and being able to connect with me and share your experience. I really, really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And I think what you're doing is amazing, sharing these stories. I think it's going to help so many people. So thank you as well for having me on here.
Thank you. All right. Take care of yourself, and I will definitely be in touch. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time.